Well, what do we have here today? Another example of good being called bad and bad being called good. Someone with completely normal beliefs, espousing those beliefs to a Catholic college who is Catholic himself, to a Catholic audience, and of course, everyone getting really upset about what he said. So what in the world am I talking about? Right over here, you can see that Harrison Butker, who's the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, has come out and give a commencement speech. And of course, the speech contains many basic truths and facts that we all knew up until about 10 minutes ago to be true. Now, most of his speech is basically talking just about how wokeness is creeping into the church and how you have to stand up for principle, stand up for gospel, and not wash it down, okay? But the thing I want to focus on is the stuff that is driving everyone insane, and that, of course, is the traditional role of men and women. And by the way, before we get into this video, I'd like you to please like and comment so we can break through the YouTube algorithm. Let's jump into it.
Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 2024, you are sitting at the edge of the rest of your lives. Each of you has the potential to leave a legacy that transcends yourselves and this era of human existence. In the small ways, by living out your vocation, you will ensure that God's church continues and the world is enlightened by your example. For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
This is a great place to jump in here now because he actually starts off by saying, hey, women have been sold this big lie. And the lie, of course, is go out there and pursue your careers. You can have it all. Don't worry about being a wife and a mother. That'll happen later. Never mind the simple fact that, yes, you actually do have a finite amount of time to achieve those goals. Okay. And if you don't, chances are you're going to be less happy the older you get. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Now, these are all beliefs that I actually share with Mr. Butker here. Okay. If you actually pursue being a wife and a mother, that is actually the highest calling you can have on this earth as a woman. Now, do you have to listen to me? Do you have to listen to Mr. Butker? No, you don't. You can go out there and pursue a career. This is America. You have that opportunity. We just want to talk about the big lie that, of course, has been sold by feminism to unsuspecting women.
I have leaned into my vocation as a husband and father and as a man. To the gentlemen here today, part of what plagues our society is this lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities. As men, we set the tone of the culture, and when that is absent, disorder, dysfunction, and chaos set in. This absence of men in the home is what plays a large role in the violence we see all around the nation. Other countries do not have nearly the same absentee father rates as we find here in the US, and a correlation could be made in their drastically lower violence rates as well. Be unapologetic in your masculinity, fighting against the cultural emasculation of men. Do hard things. Never settle for what is easy. You might have a talent that you don't necessarily enjoy, but if it glorifies God, maybe you should lean into that over something that you might think suits you better.
Before we continue, I do want to mention, what are you going to do with your dollar? Joe Biden, of course, is printing out more cash than ever before, causing massive inflation and devaluation of our currency. So how can you protect your investment? Well, you can go to Genesis Gold Group and convert your 401k or IRA into a gold-backed retirement account. And of course, you can access them by going to angryteachergold.com or by calling 1-800-200-4653 to take control of your future. Get gold-backed securities, protect your dollar, and get back on the gold standard. And by the way, Genesis Gold Group is a faith-based organization, so you can feel confident that you are not investing with a woke corporation. Let's get back into it. In modern society, at every single turn, where you're watching TV, movies, commercials even, men are basically just bumbling idiots who can't do anything right. And yet here we have someone standing up and saying, yes, the role of men, the role of being a father, the role of being a cultural leader is incredibly important. And what happens when these roles are not fulfilled? Well, as Mr. Butker says, look around you. Look at what's happening in society. Who are the people out there committing the most violent and heinous of acts? It is men who do not have direction. It is men who never had to stand up or work for anything. It is men who were never taught how to be men. So when you have a complete societal breakdown of who men are, who men should be, how men should act, this is the end result. You have an entire generation with no purpose whatsoever, and the results are speaking for themselves. So as I mentioned, this is all perfectly sane and normal to believe, and up until about 5 minutes ago, it was held widely by most of the nation. However, of course, there's going to be the standard leftist outcry. Let's hear this discussed on CNN.
Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, took a different route. The three-time Super Bowl champ is facing backlash for a speech that he gave at Benedictine College over the weekend. So the NFL put out a statement. They said this, quote, Harrison Butker gave his speech in his personal capacity. His views are not that of the NFL as an organization. The NFL is steadfast in our commitment to inclusion, which only makes our league stronger. I realize I'm the only woman at this table. For the record, I don't think any of you are unnecessary.
So you don't think we set the tone for culture either?
Don't ask my wife that question.
A lot of dudes. You know, the thing that's so stunning to me about this is it just feels like such a huge step backwards in our culture. And I interviewed John Bolton one time, and he said something that really struck me, which is he said, Mark, there is no arc to history. Progress is not guaranteed. And that's what strikes me. But, you know, I keep thinking we're so past this, and yet here we are again, like back in the 50s.
Here's one. There are people who hold those views in America, and no comment. Here's a line that also struck me along all of this. Abortion, IVF, surrogacy, euthanasia, as well as growing support for degenerative cultural values. And there are people, one, linking IVF to euthanasia as on par. And two, there are people in that audience, I am certain, even at Benedictine University, who've had abortions, who have IVF or whatever else. And the idea that he's wagging a finger at them is equally troubling.
Look, I mean, it's kind of a smorgasbord thing, right? I mean, he also said that there's some bill in Congress that would ban the biblical explanation about who killed Jesus. I mean, there's something for everybody in here, right now. And, you know, I think it's one of these things where there's a certain there's a reactionary kind of pushback that comes up, that bubbles up, that is amplified on social media in ways that in the old days it would have been much more difficult to do this kind of thing in public.
Well, it would have stayed with the audience that it was intended for, which, I mean, it was a conservative Catholic audience. And I also do want to say, I don't think anyone is saying that at this table is saying that there's an incredible amount of work that goes into running a household. And if that is what you end up doing, that is incredible. It is admirable and it is fine. I think the disconnect is that he's giving this speech to a bunch of women who are graduated from college, about to go out in the world with, you know, all of these various opportunities, and to say to any of them, if their top goal is not what he says he thinks it is, which is getting married and having children, that's not admirable. There were some female sports reporters who reacted to this. The former NFL sideline reporter Lisa Guerrero, hey, NFL, if you want to continue to grow your female fan base and any other marginalized group, because straight white men are already watching your product, come get your boy. I liked NFL Network's Jane Slater. She said, Harrison Butker, 3 words, bless your heart. And then there was this from broadcaster Jackie Remen. It's disgusting. He's up there in front of women who quite obviously have career aspirations and telling them they should only be one thing and lean into that, unlike men who can wear many hats without issue, of course.
Okay, let's jump in on this because you heard from the panel that, yeah, it feels like a step backwards to the 50s. Yeah, having morals and values just isn't modern anymore, right? Actually believing that there's a role for men and women just isn't popular, right? You're some type of caveman if you happen to believe that. And then, of course, they wrongly say that, oh, he's trying to degrade women who've actually made the choice to have a career. No, he's not. He's just saying the best choice for women is basically to be a mother, be a wife, and be a homemaker. That's where you will have the most joy and happiness, something I happen to agree with. And also noticing these tweets. Hey, come get your boy if you want women watching the NFL. You already have the straight white men. Well, guess what? They will abandon the NFL in droves if it turns woke. We've seen that for everything else, okay? And yes, it can happen, as popular as NFL is, it can happen to them too, all right? And the way you get women in is you keep it the same, but do outreach. You don't change it, because if you change it, it's no longer what people used to enjoy, and that's, of course, how you lose modern audiences, okay? But also at the bottom, we have from Jackie Redmond saying basically that, yes, men can wear many hats, but women, no, they can't do that. Well, as I mentioned, you have that limited time frame to actually achieve that one goal you may have versus your entire life to work and slave away, okay? So I find the whole thing wildly entertaining that, of course, people get so upset at traditional values because it doesn't fit into their box of progressivism, of changing the culture in a positive way. Sure it is. So as usual, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.